Om Shanti, are you all happy? So today we are going to see the most interesting and important question that can never be answered by any religious preachers, especially Christian pastors. And I'm very happy that they are very honest in accepting that they don't have the answer to this question. That is, why God created Satan in the first place? Why did he create Lucifer? So, if he created Lucifer as the angel, how come he committed sin? So, does that mean God has programmed himself to commit a sin? So, when that question was asked to any pastor, they will mostly be honest enough to accept that there is no answer for that in Bible. Nowadays, in places like America, you can see many pastors making speeches in public against wearing dresses that tempt men, and also they speak against homosexuality, transgender, and so on. And they quote the Bible that any sexual relationship outside marriage is a sin. That's what they say. But what they do not know of is that sin emerged from the sexual relationship within the marriage. Till then, they had no idea of what that is. It is once they tasted that between the married couples, then their mind gets so corrupted, they want to seek the same outside the marriage. So this is exactly Satan was created. So people take Bible and Quran and Ramayana, Mahabharata word by word. No, it's not like that. It has a hidden meaning. You can't find it as they appear. If you read like that, you are not going to get the actual answer to any question. You can not only find similarity between Bible and Quran, you can also find the similarity between Bible and many Hindu Purana stories. For example, Ravana in his previous birth was an angel in heaven, but in his next birth he becomes a demon king and he causes a lot of trouble to deities. And exactly this is given in Bible as Lucifer. And most pastors, they really wonder how can God, who is absolutely free of sin, can create something that performs sin afterwards, even after knowing that, because according to Bible, God knows beforehand that humans are going to commit sin. Then why did he create humans in the first place? That's the question posed to those pastors all the time. Whether it's Ramayana or Mahabharata or Bible or Quran, they all say the same thing. Heaven was initially created by God, and in the end he will recreate heaven. That is mentioned in Revelation. So heaven was created initially in the Genesis, the first part of Bible, and God will recreate it on the same earth. So that's going to be heaven. So, and in the middle, somehow people get corrupted and become sinners. So God comes to absolve people of all their sins. That's why he comes. That's the need for him to come. So when will he exactly come? Because if God is going to create the new world, God will be coming just before the creation of the new world, right? Or you can call it, he comes in the end of the old world. Because he renews the old world into the new world. So, to put it very clearly, this is not taken from Bible or Quran or any religious text. This is given directly by God. So this gives the solution to all the questions of all religions. Yes, God says, we are not this flesh body. We are the imperishable soul that exists like a tiny star, invisible star, which means it's so tiny that nobody can see either through naked eye or through any scientific instruments. So it's that tiny, and it resides in between the eyebrows, which is why Hindus have this habit of wearing red dots in between the eyebrows. So before that, our souls reside here along with God. This is where God dwells. So it's not as mentioned in Bible or Quran that God reside in heaven. No, God doesn't come to heaven. So you will know the rest as we proceed further. God is here and we will also be there, but without any consciousness. It's more like dead. Without any awareness, we will be there as a point of light. God is also a point of light. He is also a soul just like us. That's why he is called Supreme Soul. In Hindi, they call it as Param Atma. Soul means Atma. So Param Atma, which means the Supreme Soul. His name is God Shiva. God Shiva is his name. And this God Shiva is being referred as Allah by Muslims and the Heavenly Godfather by Christians. So God is just one. What's the difference between we souls and the Supreme Soul? We both look alike in terms of appearance. Nobody can see the soul, nobody can see the Supreme Soul. And the main difference is we take birth as humans from the mother's womb. God doesn't take birth from a mother's womb. If he does, everybody can see him. No, he doesn't take birth like us. So once we take birth in the new world, because God creates this world as heaven. So this world continues to be heaven for the first 2500 years. Then the same world becomes hell gradually for the next 2500 years. And we are in the end of the world, the hell. So this is a 5000 year time cycle. The first half is called heaven, second half is hell. The same world which was once heaven has become hell now. And we were created as deities or angels. In Hindus, we pray to deities, right? They are not gods. We were deities originally. So we'll be equal to God in terms of power and purity and love and all the divine qualities. God doesn't come here. That's why God is called love. So he doesn't come here. But he creates heaven for us, but he doesn't come here. But what happens in heaven is there will not be any trace of sorrow or pain in heaven. If it were, then it wouldn't be called heaven, right? That's because we were soul conscious. We were not body conscious as we are now. So they know that they are the souls that operate this body. This body is just like a car, but soul is the driver that drives the car. So they were very much aware of the fact that they are souls, that is entirely different from the body. Though we are present inside the body and operates the body, see through the eyes of the body, listen through the ears of the body, speak through the mouth of the body, but still it is the soul that does everything through the body. And they were conscious of it every second, because of which they didn't fall for the external attraction, lust. So they didn't get angry, they didn't have attachment, they didn't have ego, they didn't have greed. So they were totally free of these 5 vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. These 5 vices are present both in men and in women, which is commonly called the 10-headed Ravana in Hindu mythology. And there is nobody called Ravana. Similarly, there is nobody called Satan. So this Ravana is called Satan or Maya. So that's not the man. As in Hindu mythology, it's represented as someone with 10-headed. Likewise, in Bible, it is mentioned as Lucifer. That's it. But it is the vices that is within us. So we didn't have those vices. How come we had this vice when we entered hell? What happens is the soul power, it decreases automatically while in heaven. It's like the draining of battery charge. Even when not in use, it is still going to drain off gradually, right? So that's what happens in the first 2500 years. So it drains to the extent at one point we forget the fact that we are souls. Because when the soul power is lost, we tend to forget. The first thing that we forget is the fact that we are souls. That is, we forget ourselves. Then we wrongly consider ourselves to be this physical body, because of which we fall for the sensual pleasures, because of which we got addicted to these 5 vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. This is how we become slaves for the Satan or Maya. So as I already mentioned, it's not someone outside us, it is something inside us. So this happens because we forget the fact that we are soul. So just by becoming body conscious, we become slaves of these 5 vices called Satan. And day by day, our body consciousness grow, it increases day by day. So more body conscious we become, the more pain and sorrow we have to endure. So in the end, we have been accumulating more and more sins from our previous births. So in the end, God comes and reveals these things. That is why the Revelation chapter is in the end of the Bible. So in the end, God will come and reveal. But since they don't know who God is, Hindus consider Sri Krishna to be God, Christians consider Jesus Christ to be God. Well, Sri Krishna came in heaven in the beginning. Jesus came in the beginning of the hell to mock this world is going to suffer hereafter. That's why he is shown in cross. But in the picture of Sri Krishna, he is portrayed to be very wealthy, because that's the indication of how the world is going to be after from Sri Krishna. So towards the end, God himself comes. How? He doesn't take birth like us. He enters an old man's body and he names him Brahma and gives his teachings through his mouth, because even God needs a mouth to speak. He needs a body to perform actions, right? Only he has this secret. Just to give this secret, he comes in the end. If he has already given this secret in Bible or Quran, there's no need for him to come in the end. So whether it's Ramayana or Mahabharata or Bible or Quran, they were all created by humans, not God. So God's knowledge that he gives in the end is also revealed to a smaller extent in those books. But just by reading that, we can't get the answer for everything. We can't get the whole picture. We can't even figure out that it is a time circle. So we can't figure that out. But after hearing this knowledge and start reading Bible or Quran or Ramayana, you can know the meaning of every single word, every single incident. And also we come to know that it is indirectly mentioned in Bible, Quran and Ramayana about this time cycle as well. So that's what I said. God created heaven, we get corrupted in the middle. Now God comes in the end and he recreates heaven. How? By giving this knowledge. So the knowledge that one needs to enter heaven is only given just before entering heaven. Just as Jesus Christ gives knowledge to become Christians just before the creation of Christianity. So God doesn't come to establish any religion, instead he comes to establish heaven. So he gives the knowledge that is required to enter heaven. What is that knowledge? God says in heaven there won't be lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. Nobody will cause any harm to anybody. It is because of these 5 vices we tend to cause each other harm. So, and the foundation of all these vices is body consciousness, and God asks us to get rid of this body consciousness and to remain in soul consciousness. But we do not have that power to remain in soul consciousness forever. That's why we need to consider ourselves to be this imperishable soul and then remember God also as a point of light. The more we remember God, the more our body consciousness is going to go away, and we become slow and slowly we become fully soul conscious in the end. And when we all become soul conscious, that's exactly when this world will get destroyed by natural calamities and the third world war. And there's nothing to afraid of that, because it is because we are body conscious we are afraid of death and so on. When we become fully aware of that we are soul, that is when we become fully soul conscious, we will no longer be afraid of anything, because death is just an exchange of body. We are getting out of this old body and taking the new body, the perfect body of the deities. So that is something we should look forward to instead of be afraid of. So who created Satan? Nobody creates Satan. God comes here and helps us to destroy Satan in its entirety. So more we remember God, more power our soul gets from God. So we have to consider ourselves to be the point of light, and we have to consider God also as a point of light in the golden red colored world, because that world is called Parandam or Parlok, which is golden red colored light world. So we can visualize God as a shining star in the golden red colored sky, and we have to constantly remind ourselves that we are not this body, we are this soul that sees through the eye, that speaks through the mouth. So whatever you do, you should continuously try to bring soul consciousness by constantly reminding yourself. Actually, nobody creates darkness. So light has to be created. When light goes off, what remains is darkness. Likewise, God gives us the strength, soul power, and when we are filled with power, we will be revealing divine qualities like love, peacefulness, blissfulness, purity and powerfulness. And when the soul loses its power to a certain extent, after that it will start giving dark qualities like lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. So by remembering God constantly and acquiring power from God, slowly these vices fades away from us and those divine qualities start to emerge from us. This is exactly what God does. He helps us regain the power that we originally possessed in the beginning of Satyug, that is heaven. We are now in the end of Kali Yuga, right? So the world will get destroyed and we will go back to where we came from as souls. We will not be going there with the body. Souls leave the body and go there, and before leaving the body, as per the effort we made to become soul conscious and to destroy all the sins, that is these 5 vices, how do you destroy? How do you know you have destroyed? So you destroy the vices or sins by remembering God constantly, so that no remembrance of that sin, or you no longer get that impulse to commit sin. So that is an indication of the fact that that particular sin is completely destroyed. So it takes ongoing effort. It doesn't happen in just a second, because we had been soul conscious for the past 2500 years. It's not an easy task to destroy it completely, right? So you have to put constant effort day and night. All we need to do is just to remember ourselves as a point of light first. Then we have to remember God as a point of light with His divine qualities. How do you know about His quality? How do you know about anyone's quality? Only by speaking with them, right? Only when they speak, you know about them. Likewise, God Himself comes. He takes an old man's body just to speak with us children. So He gives this knowledge, which is called Murli. It is available totally free of cost in all Raj Yoga meditation centers, that is available in all countries of the world. So you can Google it for the nearest Raj Yoga meditation center in your place, nearest to your place. And also you can Google for the Murli in your language. It is available in all languages. It's in Hindi, it's in Japanese, it's in English, it's in Chinese, in all languages. You can Google for it. So all we need to do to destroy this Satan is to remember God as a point of light as much as possible, and also to remember the knowledge that He gives daily. It is very simple to understand. It is straightforward. Unlike the religious texts, for which we need to spend years to first complete that. Then to understand that, it may take several years. But here, just this video is enough to understand the essence of the knowledge, and on the very first day itself you will start experiencing God's love when reading Murli, because it is His words to you. He is speaking to us. So that's how we have this loving relationship with God. So more strong our relationship is with God, so we are going to remove this Satan completely away from us. So God doesn't create Satan, instead He destroys Satan. So He destroys Satan completely. Satan doesn't enter heaven, which means we become powerful. Only those who take this knowledge and put effort in removing body consciousness, only they can enter heaven, because that's the place where nobody has any trace of body consciousness. If they had, then that wouldn't be called heaven, because then again, because the people there will be very beautiful. That's why they are called angels or deities. Very beautiful. Both men and women will be very beautiful, very rich, and they'll be very loving, very peaceful and blissful. That is why it is called heaven. Not only human beings, but also animals. Lion and lamb, they will take water together in the same pond. It is represented in Bible and Quran. So which means even lion, they feed on plants. They don't feed on animals. But here, look at humans. They feed on everything except humans. In some places they have even started feeding on human corpses. So if that's the condition, how do you think they will enter heaven? They can't. And moreover, you have to get rid of all these 5 vices, especially lust. That's the number one enemy. We have to get rid of lust. So how do you do that? Only by remembering God you will get that. Nobody knows what lust is in heaven. So now there comes a natural question. Then how do babies be born there? they don't take birth out of vices, out of lust. Instead, both husband and wife will have the thought of having a baby, then all of a sudden the wife will get pregnant. This is what we call as the power of yoga, that is the power of thought, because they don't have any waste thought or negative thought or lustful thought. Their thoughts are that powerful that can happen the very moment they think of. For example, to put it simple, if they want it to rain, it will rain in that very instant. They want it to stop, it will stop in that instant. So that's the kind of power they possessed, everybody in heaven, because they wouldn't think about everything like we do, and they were fully soul conscious. They will be very happy because the nature of the soul itself is blissfulness and peacefulness. So just because we become body conscious, we the pleasure that we get from within, from the soul, that gets cut. That's when we started seeking pleasure from the external world. That's how we become slaves of the Satan, the moment when we become addicted to sensual pleasures. So this is the time cycle. That's why in Bible they say God created perfect man and women, and God created perfect world. How come Satan came there? So they have mentioned as if it happens in a single day, but it happens in 5,000 years. For 2,500 years, there won't be any trace of Satan. Only after the completion of first 2,500 years, Satan starts to develop within us. That is, these evil thoughts of lust, anger, greed, attachment, they start to emerge from us because we no longer have the power to suppress that. So this rebirth is not revealed in Quran and Bible, which is why they couldn't answer anything. So even in one birth, as soon as we take birth, we do not have these 5 vices. Slowly it enters us, because this is the world of Satan, these last 2,500 years. So we will slowly get those vices within us, then we will start committing sins one after another. But in heaven, the world was very pure, so there is nobody to corrupt your mind. Even in hell, it's not as sinful as it is now. If you go back in the time for 200 or 300 years, or if you go back 2 or 3 generations, then they would be much better compared to us, because it gets slowly corrupted, more and more corrupted day by day. So God comes and destroys it totally, and the world also get destroyed. Those who take this knowledge and take much power, 100% power from God, they will descend in heaven from Parandam, from the soul world, in the beginning itself. If you don't accumulate as much power as is required to take birth in the beginning, then you will stay there till the world becomes less powerful, similar to the power you have accumulated. So you will enter only here. If you have even lesser power, then you will enter only here. If you have even lesser power, then you will enter towards the end of heaven. If you have not accumulated as per God's direction, then you will enter only hell. So no matter where you enter, once you enter this world, then there is no escape back to God. So you will definitely have to complete this cycle. Only towards the end, when the world gets destroyed, God comes and takes all the souls back with him. So God has already come and he is giving this knowledge and he is preparing us. But if you turn dumb ear to God, then that's not his fault. So we are the messengers of God, giving the messages of God. So if you were very sincere in thirst of knowing God, then you would have already got all answers by just this single video. So even after watching this video, if you have any more doubt, please feel free to leave that in the comments so that we can put a separate video answering your questions. So do hit on like button if you really like this video, and leave your valuable comments and share this video with members of all religions, your friends and relatives. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe immediately. Thanks for watching. And me signing off, the dearest son of God, BK Sarvanakumar. Om Shanti.